The grocery store was bathed in afternoon sunlight, calm, quiet, and ordinary. But sometimes, it's on the most ordinary days that life writes its most extraordinary stories. The air hummed with the soft buzz of refrigerators, the faint squeak of shopping carts, and the smell of freshly baked bread drifting from the bakery. Everything looked peaceful, too peaceful for the storm of humanity that was about to unfold. Near the dairy aisle, two children stood, fragile figures in a world too big for them. A little girl, clutching a gallon of milk like it was gold, and her brother, standing guard beside her. Their clothes were torn, their faces pale, but their eyes carried a strength far beyond their years. They weren't lost. They were deciding between hunger and honesty, between stealing and surviving, and then came the rumble, the sound of heavy boots, of engines that seemed to echo rebellion. Three bikers walked in, leather jackets marked with the Hell's Angels insignia, tattoos like battle scars, faces hardened by life. The kind of men people move away from, the kind mothers whisper about, but that day, under the harsh white lights of a grocery store, the toughest man in town would meet the smallest act of courage, and it would change everything, because sometimes kindness doesn't wear a smile, it wears leather and carries a past. And sometimes, a gallon of milk can cost more than money, it can cost a heart its armor. What happened that day will remind you that heroes don't always look like angels. Sometimes, they ride Harleys. The grocery store clock ticked toward 3 p.m. as sunlight spilled through the wide glass windows, painting warm rectangles on the polished floor. It was a quiet afternoon, the kind where everything feels suspended in calm. Shoppers moved lazily through aisles, baskets half full, minds half elsewhere, but near the back, by the dairy section, time stood still for two children. Evan, 7 years old, small but fierce, stood beside his little sister Maisie. She was 5, clutching a gallon of milk so tightly her knuckles had turned white. Her blonde hair was tangled, her shoes frayed, but her eyes, those wide, innocent blue eyes, were filled with something far older than innocence. Hunger. Worry. Hope. They didn't belong here, not among the fluorescent lights and polished tiles. They belonged to the edges of town, where the pavement cracked and nights got colder. Since their parents died in a car accident a year ago, the world had not been kind. Foster homes came and went. Promises were made, then broken. Eventually, they ended up in an old rusted trailer behind an abandoned gas station, surviving on scraps, holding on to each other. Maisie had fallen sick 2 days ago, a fever that made her small frame shiver through the night. Evan had promised her milk, remembering how their mom used to warm it before bed. It was a promise he couldn't break, even if he had no way to pay for it. Now, standing in the chilled air of the dairy aisle, he looked at the milk in her hands, then at the price tag. His throat tightened. I'll figure it out, he whispered to her. Maisie nodded weakly, trusting him completely. At that moment, the store's quiet rhythm shifted, the automatic doors slid open, and 3 men walked in, leather jackets, steel boots, and a presence that drew stares. Their vests bore the Hell's Angels emblem, skull and wings. The kind of men people instinctively avoid. At the front was Rex, tall, broad-shouldered, with tattoos winding down both arms like stories written in ink. His dark eyes scanned the aisles without emotion. Behind him were Cole and Maverick, men carved from the same hard life. Shoppers parted silently, pretending to browse, pretending not to be afraid, but Evan didn't move. He stood tall, holding his sister's hand, blocking part of the aisle. Rex noticed that he stopped. For a moment, they just looked at each other, the small boy with brave eyes and the biker with a lifetime of regret behind his. Rex crouched down slowly until his eyes met Evan's. You lost, kid? He asked, voice rough but not unkind. Evan shook his head. No, sir. But we don't have money for this milk. My sister's sick. Can you pay for it? I promise we'll return the money when we grow up. The store went silent. Even the hum of the cooler seemed to fade. Rex blinked, caught off guard. He looked at the little girl clutching the milk, then at the boy's trembling hands that refused to let go of pride. Something inside him, something buried deep under years of bitterness and bruised memories, stirred. He remembered another grocery store, decades ago. A small boy standing beside his mother, both hungry, both broke. A kind stranger had paid for their bread that day. He hadn't thought of that moment in years. Without a word, Rex stood, took the milk gently from Maisie's hands, and walked toward the counter. Cole and Maverick followed. They didn't ask questions. They didn't need to. Rex pulled out a wad of cash, handed it to the cashier, and said, "Bag some food, whatever kids need. Bread, fruit, soup, cereal, cookies. And the milk." When he returned, he held the bag out to Evan. The boy's lips quivered. I don't know how to thank you," he whispered. Rex placed a heavy hand on his shoulder. "You don't owe me anything, kid. Just grow up good. That's how you pay me back." Maisie smiled faintly, hugging the milk. Evan nodded, unable to speak. The bikers turned and left, engines roaring to life outside. But Rex didn't drive off right away. From the parking lot, he watched as the two children walked hand in hand down the cracked sidewalk, the boy carrying the bag, the girl holding the milk like treasure. They disappeared into the distance, toward the setting sun. Days turned into weeks, but Rex couldn't shake the image. Every time he rode past that grocery store, he thought of them. Every time he saw kids playing, he saw those two, small, brave, broken. One afternoon, he parked his Harley outside the same store and went inside. The cashier recognized him. "You that biker who helped those kids, right?" Rex nodded. "Yeah. You seen them since?" The man sighed. "They come by sometimes. Don't steal, don't ask. Just look around. Live behind that old gas station, East Side." That was all Rex needed. He and his crew rode out that evening. Dust rose behind the Harleys as they neared the edge of town. The gas station stood abandoned, rusted pumps, cracked glass, and behind it, a trailer that looked ready to collapse. Evan was outside, trying to patch a leak with duct tape. Maisie sat nearby, coughing softly. When she saw the bikers, she smiled, not afraid, just curious. Evan stepped forward, nervous but steady. "We said we'd pay you back," he stammered. "We're saving up bottles and cans." Rex shook his head, half smiling. "I didn't come for that, kid." He looked around at the broken trailer, the empty yard. Then he turned to his crew. "We're fixing this place." And they did. For days, the roar of Harley engines filled the air, not with fear, but with hope. Cole repaired the roof, Maverick replaced windows, Rex brought supplies, food, blankets, tools. They scrubbed the yard, painted the walls, patched the leaks, even fixed the small swing behind the trailer. Neighbors watched in awe. People who once avoided the bikers now waved as they passed. Kindness had turned rough hands into healing ones. Rex contacted a local social worker, arranged schooling and food assistance for the kids. For the first time in a long while, Evan and Maisie slept in warmth, with full stomachs and safe dreams. When everything was done, the children stood before them, eyes wide with gratitude. Evan held out a small envelope filled with coins and a few wrinkled bills. "We still owe you," he said, voice trembling. Rex took it, looked at it, then gently tucked it back into Evan's pocket. "No, kid. You keep it. Someday, someone else will need help. That's how you pay me back." Maisie hugged his leg tightly. Rex froze, then smiled, something soft breaking through the years of armor he'd built. As the bikers rode away into the fading sunlight, the sound of engines mixed with the laughter of two children echoing through the evening air. That night, under a bruised orange sky, Rex finally understood something. Kindness isn't weakness. It's strength, the kind that heals in silence, and sometimes, it takes the roughest souls to remind the world that the softest hearts still exist beneath the leather and ink. Because that day, in a quiet grocery store, a gallon of milk didn't just feed two hungry children, it bought back humanity's faith in itself.